Jonathan failed at his dream of becoming a famous sports journalist and had to get a real job and a beautiful family and fulfilling life. But fortunately, anyone in America can record a podcast. His good buddy Jackson has a great radio voice and happens to know a lot about golf because he works at a golf course. Together, they will bring you the Not So Ball Knowers, a thrilling podcast where we deliver lukewarm takes and interview guests much smarter than us. Get excited because this podcast has some exciting stuff. Welcome to the Not So Ball Knowers.
All right. Good evening, everybody. We are back. I'm here with my co-host, Jonathan, the Not So Ball Knowers. We're here to talk a little March Madness, among other things, but primarily tonight's show is going to cover all of the first weekend of the madness that happened. Jonathan, how you doing tonight? Good to see you.
You know, I'm not feeling great. This podcast should be unofficially sponsored by NyQuil because after this episode, I'm going to chug a bottle and go to bed and hopefully feel better. But, you know, I'm also feeling pretty sweet because for the fourth straight year, the Vols are in the Sweet 16. I tried to hang a Tennessee blanket as a background. You noticed it's upside down. You gave me the option to change it before recording. I wanted to own the mistake. I feel like hanging an upside down blanket as a background is a very on brand for the Not So Ball Knowers podcast. But yeah, Jackson, 4 straight Sweet 16s. But guess what? It shouldn't really be surprising because guess who was the first to say that this was going to happen? This podcast.
I if I remember correctly, it was you, and we were saying how Tennessee has a way of doing this. Just seems like old Rick Barnes, just magic Sweet 16 stuff, man. I don't know.
But it's also kind of funny because this weekend just reminds you that if you're a college basketball fan, you experience the full range of emotions in a 2-hour period. And you would know that really well because, Jackson, you got to experience the madness in person. So would you like to tell people where you were on Thursday at 12:15 p.m. Eastern time?
Yeah, absolutely, Jonathan. So Wednesday of last week, I hopped in the car. I drove to my in-laws' house in Charlotte, North Carolina, and then woke up early Thursday morning and drove from Charlotte down to Greenville, South Carolina for the first round of the men's NCAA 2026 tournament. Couple of things to check off. Yeah, go ahead.
I heard that the I-85 from Charlotte to Greenville is a death trap. I just want to see what you think or if you can confirm.
I can confirm that the traffic outside of basically going south from Charlotte is not fun. But once you cross the South Carolina border, traffic definitely got much lighter and was doable. But no, I mean, and then obviously, like, I think it's 385, which is the main road that goes into Greenville.
Mm-hmm.
Like, got a little congested with just quite a bit of traffic, people coming into the game. But anyways, man, it was awesome. I got to town at 10:30. I had reserved a parking spot on Spot Hero, so didn't have to worry about parking or anything like that, which was great. So pulled into my parking spot about 10:30. Had about an hour and 45 minutes before tip. So I went and found a nice coffee shop. I believe it's called Celia. I think the T is silent, but I think it's called Celia or Celia Coffee. Apologies if I'm pronouncing that wrong. Greenville natives can correct me. But seemed like a great little family-owned coffee shop. I got a really great cup of coffee and hung out there for about 45 minutes and then walked about 10 minutes through downtown Greenville to Bon Secours Wellness Arena. Yeah, I will say this, like start to finish I've been to a lot of live sporting events, both professional and collegiate. And I've been in some stadiums and some arenas that are just disgusting as far as like I work in hospitality sales, so I feel like I have a pretty good idea of how hospitality is supposed to work. From the minute I stepped foot like in the general vicinity of the arena, the amount of crowd control, the amount of cleanliness, even in the bathrooms, they had one to two attendants in each bathroom, like wiping down and cleaning the surfaces as you were using the bathroom,
That's
which
fancy.
just like,
That's like
yeah, man, it
Buc-ee's.
was a really, it was cool. It was, yeah, it is like a Buc-ee's. Um, but yeah, it was just great. Concessions were incredibly reasonably priced, which was great. I had to drive home that evening, so I did not buy any beer. But from what I could tell, the beer pricing was pretty reasonable as well. And then yeah, so I'm talking about all the fluff. What was even better was obviously the game. So it was
That's
the
what
the
that's what
lead
I was
game of
asking. To be honest,
yeah.
I'm not surprised Greenville did a great time, but I don't really care about how cool it was. No offense to the great people of Greenville, but I want to hear about what it was like being in that game.
Greenville's a great city. The TCU Ohio State game was an even better game. So, TCU goes up 12 or 15 at the half, and I'm on top of the world. And these two ladies sitting next to me who they were casual fans. I mean, they were big basketball fans, but they weren't, they were both South Carolina fans, so they didn't really have anybody to cheer for. Shout out though the South Carolina women, they're excited about that. But the men, obviously, not a whole lot to go, not a whole lot going on there. But anyway, so they kind of poke me on the shoulder and they're like, so, you went to TCU? And I'm like, yeah, I'm a big TCU fan, went to school there, yada, yada, yada. And anyways, so like I told them, I'm like, look, I said, they're like, wow, it's great. TCU's up 15. I'm like, I know. I said, but we blew a massive lead to Kansas with like 6 minutes left. And I'm like, this is a classic TCU thing, is we get these great leads, and then we just absolutely blow them. And sure enough, what did TCU do? They blew a massive lead.
Yeah.
Thankfully, though, pulled out a great win. Shout out Xavier Edmonds and the feed by David Punch there as time was ticking down towards the end of the game. But just put that little floater up and in to go up by 2. And then obviously Ohio State couldn't hit the shot. Like I said, I had to leave later that night, Toy, so I did not get to stay for the absolute drudging we took by Duke 2 nights later. We can get into that later. I have some thoughts about the officiating in that game, but as my dad would say, don't take the bait, don't get into it. But yeah, Greenville was great, awesome environment. I did stay for the Duke Siena game as well, which was very entertaining.
Shout out
Almost as entertaining as the TCU game.
Shout out to the coach who just was like, you know what? Like, we only have 5 players good enough. Some coaches would have tried to like steal some rests for their best players, and that's when like Duke would have gone on like a run. But the coach is like, hey, even if I try to rest these players for a minute, the game could change quickly in a minute. He's like, I only have 5 players. Pippin, get away from the food. Pippin. Don't edit that out, Jaron. It's part of the appeal. My cat was trying to get in the counter, and she knows she's not allowed to do that. You're a very bad kitty. Bad kitty. But no, I like the Siena coach. He's like, you know what? We only have 5 players who I think can play in this game. I'm not subbing until the last 20 seconds. So shout out to him. That was
Yeah.
most coaches wouldn't do that. Like I said, most coaches would try to like rest their players. But the Siena coach was like, you know what? We have nothing to lose. This is probably likely our last game. We might as well like empty the tank against Duke. And they almost won. Kind of.
Yeah, it was a great game. I mean, I think I even looked at the ESPN app at halftime, and Duke still had like a 78% chance to win, even though they were down 11 at the half. But it was a great game. I was surrounded by Duke fans during that game. There were a handful of very annoying Ohio State fans behind me who stuck around for the game, but it was great. Duke fans in person, really, really cool. Like, just really genuinely awesome, nice people. I take back a lot of what I said about Duke fans being bandwagon fans. I'm
I mean,
sure they are on the
oh yeah, well,
bandwagon, but just
I was about to say,
super cool people. Really, really nice.
if you're spending $150 to go to an NCAA tournament game, you're probably not a bandwagon Duke fan. So you probably are a pretty big fan. I know Greenville's not too far of the drive from Durham, but NCAA tournament games aren't cheap. And
Yeah, I would have to agree for
we
sure.
we never said anything bad about the character of Duke fans. I just noticed there was a lot of casual fans who like Duke. Like if you like the fans in Johnson City, Tennessee, with no connection to Duke were the ones that we were taking shots at. Real hardcore Duke fans were extremely jealous of your all success, and it looks like you guys survived Siena, and I think you guys probably have a great chance of winning the whole thing now because I think that kind of jolted you all.
Yeah, I would have to agree, Jonathan.
Sometimes when you get a scare like Duke did, it can like kind of shock you into a new level or like unlocking a new level. And
Well, and I think that's what happened because when they played TCU, TCU was able to keep it close for about 25 minutes, and then again, well, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Like I understand. Look, it is tough to be an official. I do not envy the position that the officials are in, but if anybody watched the TCU Duke game in the round of 32, which a lot of us did because a lot of people are watching Duke. TCU was up 2 with 16 minutes left. And then there were like 4 consecutive fouls called against TCU. They were very ticky-tack fouls, pretty soft fouls in my opinion, many of which went against TCU in favor of Cam Boozer. Cam
so
Boozer's an
yeah,
incredible player, but I just want to know your thoughts on this, Jonathan. I am by no I look, I will hands up. I'm complaining that the officiating I thought was a little bit ticky-tacky and a little bit soft, especially in the second half. I understand TCU was already in foul trouble, so we were playing much softer anyways. We had at that point 2 players with 3 fouls, but you know, what say you? I know last night Tennessee got some favorable calls by the officials. So, I
so
mean,
we got an
granted,
awesome whistle. I want to write the officials a thank you note because they allow Tennessee to be physical, and if you allow Tennessee to be physical, there's maybe a few teams that can match their physicality, and Virginia struggled with that. There was that out of bounds play. The Virginia player said it hit his hands, but like if the officials ruled it Virginia's ball, then there wouldn't have been enough evidence for like Tennessee to overturn. And honestly, Tennessee didn't even have a timeout, so they couldn't even have challenged it. So Tennessee got all the lucky breaks. So thank you, Don Daly. Don Daly has had some Tennessee fans and coaches have had some grievances with Don Daly in the past. No complaints with the officiating crew last night. They they called the game in a way that really benefits Tennessee. Virginia fans, if you listen to this and you're very angry about how I'm guessing we have Virginia fans.
I'm
I
sure we
mean,
have some UVA fans. I mean,
you have
there's
friends
some.
who
I've got a lot of friends that listen to the podcast. One of my very, very good friends who I'm 99.9% listens to a lot of the episodes is a UVA grad, and we fish a lot. So, Charlie, if you're listening, sorry about your Who's.
well, I was gonna say, like, if you're mad about the officials, I feel like you have every right. We got a great whistle. And to your point, Jackson, I because everyone wants to say that Duke gets a favorable whistle. I think great players get a favorable whistle, and Duke just happens to have a great whistle because
Yeah,
great players. This is not so ball knowledge level knowledge, but yeah, like if you're a great player, you're hard to defend, and if you're hard to defend, you're going to get fouled a lot because people can't stay in front of me. But that in front of you, but then even then, like officials, you'll get the benefit of the doubt because like let's say full disclosure, I did not watch the Duke TCU game. I was at the Tennessee Missouri baseball game. Got free tickets. Shout out to my friend Taylor for the ticket and the great seats. But if I can guess, like you'll see this a lot. Like, was there ever a chance where like Boozer drove to the basket, missed a layup, and then when he missed the layup, like a foul was called late? Did that happen at all?
yeah. I mean, absolutely. There was a really bad flagrant foul called against TCU. One of our players went up and was airborne and leaned a little bit forward. Boozer went underneath him and his body got turned midair. And so he went to stick his arm out to brace his fall. It just happened to hook kind of behind Boozer's neck. And they called it a flagrant one. That turned the momentum. Our coach got called for a flagrant, still not sure what was said. Jamie Dixon's been known to get a flagrant foul every now and then. That's
You
just
mean
the kind of
technical
coach.
or
Well, they called it a flagrant one against Jamie Dixon.
like how do you get a How do you get a flagrant as a
Or maybe
coach?
yeah, I mean, Duke shot 2 free throws and then got the ball. So it was
But my,
anyways, it was just bad. It was I mean, I get. Sorry, you. Yeah, go ahead and say what you
No, I
want
was
to
gonna
say.
say my whole point is that I feel like sometimes great players get the benefit of the doubt because if they miss a contested layup, the official he may not like he psychologically is like, oh, he never really misses these layups. He must have gotten fouled.
Right.
I can't really complain because Grant Williams one year shot 23 free throws in a 2019 game against Vandy. So I've seen Tennessee superstars get a great whistle. And yeah, and also like Boozer's not going to get called for many fouls because refs don't want to put superstars in foul trouble. Like they know like they want
Right.
to play. So yeah, like when you play a team with a couple stars, they're gonna get like the benefit of the doubt and you just kind of have to
Right. I mean, the same thing happened when we played Kansas in the Big 12 tournament a few weeks ago. All the calls went in favor of Kansas. It just felt very one sided, and I get it. I mean, look, it it's not like, I mean, the exact same thing happened to TCU when we played Arizona in the round of 32 a few years ago. An Arizona player blatantly shoved a TCU player to the ground with 12 seconds left. I think Mike Miles needed a layup to tie it, and gets shoved to the ground, turnover, refs swallow their whistle. I understand. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen. I'm just saying that it's just a shame because we had the makings of a really, really, really good game on our hands with 16 minutes left. TCU goes up 2. It's been back and forth the entire game. There hadn't even really been any like significant runs other than Duke was scoreless, for 5 or 6 minutes there to end the first half. But I get it. I am complaining, but I'm also saying I understand it. I don't want to be that fan that complains. But I also will say this: there were a
see. I'm
lot
gonna
of.
play.
Sorry, go
See,
ahead.
you're a fan, so I feel like complaining about the ref is like the ultimate awesome coping in the tournaments.
Yeah, it
I
is, but
feel
I
like
will
I feel
also,
like you should cope.
right, but Jonathan, the thing is too that like I at least felt a little bit of validation. Like I went and scrolled through, I just scrolled some headlines and some, different things like that afterwards. And there were other people who were essentially saying the same thing. And I mean, again, you didn't watch the game. A TCU player took an elbow to the face and walked off the court bleeding, and there was not a foul called against Duke. And so again, arm, forearm, was above the head, and they still didn't call it. So
See,
that should be called.
See, this is cracking me up because I feel like every complaint that you have, like Tennessee opponents could say the same thing about Tennessee. Because like Tennessee, he plays ultra physical and both Miami and Duke. And we need to like bash our friend, like my friends in the group message being scared of Miami, Ohio. Like I saw how frail they were, and I was like, refs tend to swallow their whistle in the tournament. And these players have no chance against Brent Mendenwool's strength and conditioning program at Tennessee. Like Tennessee are grown men. And even when a Miami, Ohio is making their threes, JP Estrella, awesome player, awesome dude. He sometimes, and he's a great offensive player. He struggled defensively at SEC. Like there'd be times where Alabama picked on him, and some of the best players would switch on him, and they could kind of get in mismatches with him. He got switched to a guard. I remember like very early in the game, and like the guard could not get past him and had to settle for a contested shot. And I'm like, yeah, these guys can't get past JP Estrella. They're in for a long day. And they were
Right.
in for a long day. And not to name any names, but Sam and Jared should be really embarrassed for thinking that. And even Alex, who knows sports and is like a smart guy, he's like, yeah, man, like I'm like scared. Like I'm cautiously optimistic because we've blown leads before. Tennessee had a 19-point lead at halftime, Alex. Like Tennessee could have played patty cake every offensive possession. And
Right. Right.
in fact if they didn't score a single point in that second half, they would have lost by 5. So yeah, nothing to worry about. Like Miami, Ohio, obviously great. They had great shooters. Just Tennessee was bigger, stronger, faster, and it played like that. Yeah, that's all I
Yeah, I
had to
mean
say.
it's just that's what happens when you play a full SEC schedule. It's just naturally over the course of a season. That's what it's going to be. But before we fully leave the topic
No, but
of Duke, sorry, go
I
ahead.
wasn't gonna, yeah, I was just gonna say like that was a long tangent, but all of your complaints, like the Miami, Ohio coach said in an interview, he's like, yeah, they're really letting them play. And he was kind of complaining about the way the game was being called. And I was like, yeah, yeah, like they're defeated. They they have no shot. If the coach is like complaining about officiating or kind of saying they're letting them play, that's not a good sign. Shout out to Tennessee for getting a good draw. But yeah, back to Duke. I'm just saying that
Well,
everything you've complained about
yeah.
Tennessee.
Couple last couple notes. Sorry, finish. Tennessee what?
I was gonna say everything that you've said about the way Duke played and the way the game was allowed to be called. Opponents who play Tennessee can have the same grievances,
Right.
which and I love that.
Yeah. And my last couple notes on Duke, and then we can wrap up our Duke segment, because I really do think that, I mean, I still think that my pick to go all the way is Arizona. I do think that Duke will probably make the Final Four, but I just would like to give a huge shout out to both the Boozer brothers. An absolute joy to watch play the game of basketball. Number one. Number two, John Shire, just what he's been able to do, filling the shoes that he's had to fill from Mike Krzyzewski. Incredible job. And he seems like a really good guy. Hurts me to say that because I, had family go to UNC, so I don't ever really root for Duke. But John Shire, I'm going to give flowers where flowers due. John Shire is a great coach. And to admit that he got outcoached by Siena takes a lot of guts to say that. And number three, Culpeper's hometown guy, Malik Brown, would just like to give a shout out to him. Again, watching him play, watching him just play the game of basketball is a lot of fun, and it's that much cooler that he is from Culpeper, where I live. So
That is
shout
awesome.
Shout out Malik Brown.
Do you think we could get him on the podcast?
Oh, that would be great. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. I'm 0 for 1 tonight on trying to get guests on the podcast. So
I could have told you Tennessee has a strict media policy. It was very sweet of Derek Owings to text you back and not just. Like,
I know he could have never replied and said, "Screw this. I haven't talked to this guy in 5 years." But yeah, he did reply, which was cool. So,
but hey, shoot. Speaking of March, you shot your shot. It might have been from half court, and it was kind of like the Vandy Tyler Tanner. It banked out at the last minute, and we will not be having Derek Owings on the podcast because Tennessee.
No, we won't.
Well, I mean, theoretically, we could. Like, we would have to submit, I think, a request through Tennessee, and they would like just completely ignore that request. But you never know. We're up to 200 subscribers, Jackson. Maybe Danny listens to us weekly while he's in his office.
You never know. Hey, I was thinking about that today, Jonathan. How long till we can start applying for some press badges when we go to sporting events and be official?
It's very easy to get. I wouldn't want to because you can't cheer in the press box, and I like to get like very, very intense.
Right.
Jessica had to leave the room during the Tennessee Virginia game. We'll just leave it at that. So I would not want to. I mean, you could go sit in the press box for Tennessee games, but
I'm not
hilarious.
saying it has to be Tennessee, but why don't you come up here for a couple minor league baseball games or something, and we'll get some press passes and do some local coverage.
It might, but it is hilarious, or the Tennessee Smokies, but it is hilariously easy to get credentialed for like a Tennessee football game. Like when I would go into the press box and like I would see the list of media, so they had like the seating chart. And I'd be like, I have never heard of this town. And I didn't know they had a paper. I'm like, I've never heard of this media before. And I think there was like once a bro who was like completely stoned out of his mind at one game. He was awesome, but I'm pretty sure he must have smoked the devil's lettuce before the game. This was like 10 years ago, but like, I don't remember what media site he was from, but he was cool. But yeah, we could get credentialed, but when you're asking coaches for one-on-one interviews, that's when they don't really do that unless you're VolQuest or the Vol Network.
Let's try and get some credentials for some PGA Tour events. We'll start there.
Sorry, Jackson. I had to get my liquids. I am sick, so I have to stay hydrated.
You're good. I was going to say maybe we should start with trying to get some credentials for some PGA Tour events.
That would be awesome. I bet the Masters probably has a stricter
Yeah, I
credential
don't know.
policy
I
than
don't know if the Masters will work, but maybe some Corn Ferry Tour events, like some lower tour events, would be cool. So
that. That would be cool, but we're 0 for 1 for interviews. But oh yeah, we were talking about Duke. Yeah. What's the player from Culpeper's name?
Malik Brown, yeah, huge shout out to
Well, like,
Malik Brown. Just awesome to watch play, and gets to play a lot of minutes. He starts. He's just again a pleasure to watch play the game of basketball, and he's a hometown guy, which is awesome.
yeah. So you can do some detective work, Jackson, and see if anyone knows his family. Culpeper's not that big of a town. Be like, hey, we
Well,
have
yeah, I
children.
mean, I've got a friend who I mean, I have several friends who know his family or and obviously know him personally. I won't disclose their names on the show, but
Yeah,
if we wanted to get him on, I'm sure there's a way we could get him on. Obviously, we'll wait till Duke's
the
tournament run is
tournament.
over.
Yeah, let's get him on the pod, and then
So,
we can ask him to bring the boozers as well. We can do a group interview.
yeah, I'm sure that'll definitely work out.
We can tell them it's like charity. It's like, hey, like some people donate money to like organizations that like fight hunger and poverty. You all can do charity by helping two dudes doing a podcast and get them more
There you
podcast
go.
views. Same
There you
thing.
go.
You
Perfect.
don't even have to spend any money.
Oh, well, let's get back on the rails here. We talked about TCU, great little run. Fell short in the round of 32, but let's talk a little bit more about Tennessee. They've had what I would say is a pretty good draw so far. Obviously UVA is a very good team. Tennessee proved to be more physical, but I'd love to get your thoughts as to their Sweet 16 matchup and just where you think the ceiling is for this team moving forward, Jonathan.
I think the ceiling is the Sweet 16. Iowa State. I did some research when I was supposed to be working today because I only really watch Tennessee basketball. I'm a not so ball knower, so I don't. Uh, my first real experience watching Iowa State was them playing Kentucky, and my thought was, dang, without their best player, they're pretty dang good. And then I looked at some of their results, their Ken Palm rankings. I'm like, this is a good team. The pressure they did on Kentucky's guards, I'm a little nervous that Tennessee can handle it. But like we say, so if Tennessee and Iowa played 10 times, Iowa State would probably win 6, maybe 7 out of the time. Like, I think they're the better team, especially if Jefferson's able to go. So if Michigan played, they'd probably win 9 out of 10. Michigan, and then maybe even 10 out of 10. But the magic of March is it only needs to happen. It only needs to happen once, Jackson. So Iowa State could have a bad
That's
game,
right.
and Tennessee could play great, and they win. And the same. So you never know. But if I was a betting man, which I'm not, if you have a gambling addiction, I don't know the hotline. Just don't gamble on games. There's better things to do. But if I was gambling, I would probably put money on Iowa State. I think they're the better team, but you never know in March, Jackson.
Yeah, man. So obviously, injuries, like you said, Iowa State's battling some injuries. I watched Iowa State several times this year, being a Big 12 fan. Iowa State's good, but TCU proved really physical defense, specifically trapping and specifically switching on defense, can prove to work. We forced a lot of turnovers in that game, and we beat them. So, if Tennessee can draw up a game plan to put some pressure on them defensively, and again, like trapping and switching from that standpoint really worked for us. So get some turnovers, get some fast break points, and I think it could be a very good game. I will absolutely be pulling for Tennessee. I will not be pulling for Tennessee to make the Final Four though, because I want you to come on the fishing trip in a few weeks. So
I think I'm going on the fishing trip anyway
okay.
because we had to do some house stuff that was very expensive. So I don't think the Final Four is going to happen financially for us. We're not Scrooge McDuck here at the toy households. We have to make we can't like spend our money freely. So I think the fishing trip is locked in. So I don't think you have anything to worry about.
Well, that's a great quick segue to remind everybody to please like and subscribe on our YouTube page. Please follow our socials. We are on TikTok, we are on X, and we are on Instagram. We're starting to see some really great engagement on all of our platforms, especially YouTube. And look, this is just something fun for Jonathan and I to do to talk sports until we're blue in the face. We both enjoy it. We both love sports, and we both love just talking to one another about this kind of stuff. We're good friends, so we would love if you would support us. It helps us to continue to do what we're doing. And yeah, so maybe one day, Jonathan can have that extra cheddar in his back pocket to go to the to go to the Final Four.
Well, I also am a dad. I want to remind everyone listening that I am a dad. And if you want a sweet little boy to get some great Christmas presents, you will like and subscribe and tell your friends to do otherwise. I want to make money on this. I mean, we're not, but
We will
I mean,
eventually. I firmly believe our trajectory is getting better and better. So,
we've lost a lot of money on this so far, which is kind of funny.
well, sometimes I know you still haven't sent me a Venmo request for what I need to cover. But anyways,
You're good.
please like and
I
subscribe. We enjoy doing this, and we hope you the people that are listening, the 259 or 60 subscribers out there, we hope you enjoy tuning in every week. All right, back to Tennessee toy. You think the ceiling really is truly the Sweet 16? I mean, that's as far as they're going, really?
I mean, it's hard to say. Can they beat Iowa State? Yes, but you just look at the teams that they would likely have to face to get to the Final Four. I
Right,
think they can get to the Elite Eight. I don't think they're going to beat Michigan. I have watched several Michigan games, and I think, dang, they're really good. And then when they're not good, they're still really hard to beat. Like I feel like they played pretty bad in the Big Ten
right,
championship, and we're still
right.
very competitive with a very excellent Purdue team. So no, I don't think I'll say our ceiling's the Elite Eight. I just don't see a scenario. I just think it'd be very difficult to beat Michigan. Like I think a lot of things would like have to go in Tennessee's favor to get to the Final Four this year, which is fine. It's hard to get to the Final Four. This team overachieved in the tournament, getting to the Sweet 16. That's all I have to say about Tennessee, other than shout out to Nate Anet. He is hurt. He could have shut it down. He kept playing. He inspired me to do this podcast because, like Nate Amet, I am not at 100% tonight. I feel terrible. You may not hear it in my voice, but I'm really powering through right now. And it's all because I was inspired by Nate Amet. So, Nate, if you're listening, thank you, buddy, for giving me inspiration.
Shout out to Nate Met, which leads me into our next topic. Just standout performances across week one. I've got this segment titled in the notes Week One Shockers. I want to hear your week one shocker, but my week one shocker is the Nebraska Cornhuskers and just everything that they're doing. I'd like to shout out two Huskers in my life, Claire and Brian. I will not say their last names, but sorry, there is a fruit fly in here, Jonathan, that is just driving me crazy. If I look like I'm looking all over the place, there's a little fly. Anyways, huge
That's
shout out to
okay.
Claire and Brian who have been blowing up. I'm in a group text with both of them and my wife, and they're just passionate Husker fans. So that's my shocker of week one is just congratulations to Nebraska. Really, really cool. What's your week one shocker?
Kind of wanted to talk about Nebraska more because I
Oh
agree
yeah,
with
we
you.
can absolutely.
That's just kind of my like I think the best game of the tournament was Vandy, Nebraska, because you got kind of sad toward the end where if you were a neutral observer, you got sad and said, "Oh, dang, one of these teams has to lose, and that really stinks."
Right.
Because this was a likable Vandy team that Nebraska beat. And shout out to Nebraska fans. You mentioned your friends are very passionate. I think it's redundant to say a Nebraska fan is passionate because they got 70,000 people, I think 80,000 people to a volleyball game outdoors. They love their Huskers. We kind of snubbed them when we were mentioning best fan bases because that fan base is awesome. Nebraska football's been bad for years. They
And
sell
they
out every
just keep
game.
showing up no matter what. They're there every Saturday.
And I think that's such a great experience as a fan because, like, you kind of experienced it during the 2022 TCU run. But when a team hasn't been very good and, like, they go on, like, a magical run, there's just so much excitement among the fan base. And, like, you could kind of sense that in Oklahoma City. Like, even in the 4 versus 13, it was so loud in that arena, and it was so loud at the Vandy Nebraska game. Like, you could just tell that the fans were like just very into it. They were very excited about their team. So very excited for Nebraska fans. Nebraska and Iowa fans hate each other. Um, like they hate each other in the sports sense. I'm sure they don't actually
Right,
hate each
right, right,
other, but
right.
big rivalry, and it's also just not Midwestern to hate. So that's a very uncouth for Midwestern people. They're very wholesome people, but two wholesome fan bases going at it, two passionate fan bases who haven't. Nebraska's just made their first Sweet 16. Iowa, I think it's been their first Sweet 16 in years. So yeah, Jackson, I'm excited about that Sweet 16 game, and I'm very happy for Nebraska. And
Yeah,
shout out,
I am too. And I was going to say what's kind of cool is sometimes you'll notice this, and I'm sure you would agree with me, is that if one of your big money making aspects of your athletic department has been down for a really long time, and then another sport from your athletics department has some success, it can really rejuvenate the entire athletic department. And I'm not saying that I pretend to know where Nebraska's spending their NIL money or their rev share money. I don't. I don't follow Nebraska athletics enough to know that. But I would put money on the fact that if Nebraska makes it to the Elite Eight, or even if they're final, even if they lose in the Sweet 16, but if they continue to win, God forbid they make a Final Four or something like that, you will see more money come into that athletics department across the board. There will be boosters who maybe weren't probably spending as much money as they have in the past or ever have, who want to reinvest in Cornhusker athletics, and this will 1000% better the overall athletics department. It will send a ripple through that athletics department.
well, maybe for basketball, I don't know, just Nebraska football, even with NIL, it just seems really hard for whatever reason to get college players to go to Nebraska, even though I know they had it for basketball, but there's not as many like players. But you're right, Jackson. Like, I never thought Indiana would win a national title.
Yeah,
So
but Toy, like, respectfully, I'm not disagreeing. I mean, well, I am disagreeing with you. Respectfully, I'm going to disagree because who wants to live in Lubbock, Texas? Who wants to go to Texas Tech for 3 or 4 years and play football? Money talks. So you get an influx of money that comes into that athletic department, and then you can start ponying up some extra cheddar to get some players, some dough. you know, Who's to say that Nebraska couldn't copy the Indiana playbook? Who's to
well,
say that they
no,
can't
I was
copy,
I
and
just
I
said that. Like,
understand, like, it's Lincoln, Nebraska. I get it. I
Jackson,
get it.
I talked
But
myself out of it. Like, did you not hear me say like everything I just said? I was like, who wants to play in Lincoln? Then I was like, oh, wait, Indiana, Texas Tech. Like, I changed my mind. I'm kind of on the same page now, and I kind of hope it happens. Like, I kind of want Nebraska to be good at football again. Like, their fans are awesome. They deserve it.
I agree. Yeah, I totally agree. All right. Well, so next bullet point, we won't dwell on this because there's no need to dwell because we both despise Florida. But great to see Florida have an early exit. Shout out Florida losing.
You
Anything to touch on there?
Yeah, like, I just wanna complain about Facebook algorithm. I watched some reels of, like, cause like, I don't like Florida either, so I was watching, all the Iowa players celebrate because it made my heart happy, and now Facebook assumes I'm an Iowa fan, so every time I open Facebook or Instagram, I'm getting, I once got, like, a highlight package from Iowa football in the '90s, and I'm like, "No, I just wanted to see them beat Florida." Like, I don't really care. I mean, with all due respect to Iowa fans, if we have any who are listening, I don't have anything against Iowa. I just don't. I'm like, yeah, like Facebook. Like, I'm not a fan. I don't care about their football in the '90s. The tradition they do in the fourth quarter where they do the children's hospital is really awesome. So that's
It's a great
awesome. But
tradition.
I just am not an Iowa fan, Facebook. But I am very happy. I was an Iowa fan yesterday evening, and that was an awesome. That was probably also another game of the tournament. And tough. My heart hurts for the Florida Gators and their upstanding coach.
Yeah, my heart will never hurt for anything related to the University of Florida. But all right, next. I think it's hilarious that people are calling Texas a Cinderella team. It's absolute ridiculousness. I understand that they're a double-digit seed, but that does not give you the right to be called a Cinderella team.
Actually went to the I am shocked that this Texas team is the Sweet 16. I do have fans, and they will agree with me because I went to the Tennessee-Texas game. It was like a 9 p.m. tip-off, which sucks. It was cold, so I was gonna put my hoodie on. Noticed there was a huge ass stain on my hoodie that was noticeable, and I was like, "Do I change or do I change my wardrobe?" I'm like, not very many people are gonna be there. Who cares?" So I went to this game with a stained hoodie, and I just was not impressed with Texas. Tennessee won easily. Jacoby Gillespie, like they had no interest in guarding him. He had 34 points. And so yeah, that's all to say, like, from my initial impression sitting in section 328 at the Food City Center, I did not have a very high opinion of Texas. Like I left that game thinking like, yeah, is that team's probably going to make the tournament. And now they're in the Sweet 16. And one player like
It pays to get hot, Toy. It pays to get hot at the right time.
their post, I forget his name. He can't hit free throws, but he was really good.
Yeah.
Um, that's the difference is like I think he like fouled out like in 2 minutes against Tennessee, and like the Tennessee's bigs really bothered him, and he's been awesome so far in this tournament.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to add to that, other than, it pisses me off that people are calling them a Cinderella. Um, you know,
I just wanted to
they
tell
played an SEC they played an SEC schedule. Don't call them a Cinderella. That's stupid.
and I just wanted to point out that I wore a stained hoodie to a 9 p.m. tip-off game. So people, I feel like that really gives an
Just
insight.
tell people you spilled a PB&J mixtape on yourself. It's fine.
No, I did get the stain out when I got home. I just was like, no one's gonna care. I feel like that gives us good insight to our listeners, plus the upside down tea. But no, yeah, I
So,
went and I
sorry, go
hate
ahead.
9 p.m. tips. No, I was gonna say
No,
I
I do
hate
too.
9 p.m. tips. That crowd was dead, except for me. I was feeding the floor. I love the Vols. I always give 100% when I step foot in Food City Center.
Um, yeah, I mean, love Food City Center. All right, so Toy, I pulled a little data for us just on teams still dancing by conference, and I want to run through that real quick. So the
I saw that.
Big Ten leading the way, still has 5 teams dancing. I don't think anybody's surprised here. The Big Ten had, all around a great year. Michigan obviously leading the way. Michigan State, very good team. Iowa playing good ball. Wisconsin was good before they left. Right. So no shocks there. Big 12,
Best
4
conference,
teams.
best conference in all of sports. You kind of have to say that now with football having the last three national champions.
It hurts me. I won't say that. You can say that. But Big 12 still has 4 teams tied with the SEC, 4 teams. Again, I don't think there's any surprises. I would say that the SEC and the Big 12 are probably pretty comparable when it comes to basketball. Definitely not comparable when it comes to football, but comparable when it comes to basketball. Just with the level of play night in and night out. So no surprises there to still having 4 very good teams. Little surprised at how well Alabama's still playing, but anyways,
Texas was missing. Texas was missing their best player.
I know. Yeah,
So
that sucks.
they're a different team without him.
Absolutely.
Toppin.
Yeah, Toppin. Yep.
I couldn't remember his name. Yeah, sorry.
No, you're good. Big East, 2 schools, UConn and St. John's, still dancing. Big East, still sneaky good basketball conference. Again, I don't think anybody's surprised to see those 2 schools still dancing. But I think the shocker for everybody is the ACC's only got 1 team still in the dance.
I'm not shocked, Jackson. I kind of didn't think. I thought the ACC had one great team and then maybe 2 good teams in Virginia and Louisville, but I never thought the ACC was that good.
Yeah, and I think that, the ACC has, I don't know. I feel like we always follow this narrative that the ACC is all that and more when it comes to basketball. And I just think we've seen it the past couple years that yes, Duke's always pretty good. Yes, UNC has its years, but who else is really making it happen? Yes, UVA won a natty back in 2019, but I mean, it's just not. I don't know. It's just not really doing it for me. I don't know. There other outside of Duke and UNC, and I'll throw UVA in there just to be nice. I just don't feel the same level that I feel when I watch a team like Iowa State, like Houston, like Arizona, like Michigan State, like Tennessee, like Florida when they were really hot in the regular season, like Vanderbilt at times this year. Like, it just doesn't seem that there's that same level of play night in and night out that there is in some of the other conferences.
I got kind of bored whenever I tried to watch a ACC game. No offense to our ACC fans. Duke obviously is great. And well, maybe that was why I was bored, Jackson, because like Duke was just beating the crap out of every team they played. And that can be kind of boring if you're not a Duke fan. No, I would push back at like I think the Big East this year had two really good teams, and those really good teams are both in the Sweet 16. Outside of that, I think Villanova made the tournament. They kind of got defeated handily by Utah State. I think like that I can't think of any other Big East teams that made the tournament. But I was looking at the Big East out of curiosity, and like some of the teams that are traditionally good, like Creighton seemed to have a down year. Georgetown, which has traditionally been a really great basketball school, really cool school in general. Um, would love to go. I would have loved to be able to be smart enough to go there, but they've been down. Providence, I think's been down. Seton Hall. So like a lot of the traditionally good basketball schools in the Big East seem
Pretty
to.
sure, pretty sure Creighton's coach retired today,
Yeah, he
Jonathan.
did. He did. Not so breaking news on the not so ball knowers because by now everyone listening, everyone know that. But
Yeah.
or went out to McDermott. So
Well, yeah, I mean, just anything. I don't know. I just like I just love to see the conference breakdown, and I have no surprises when it comes to who's still remaining. So I didn't know if you'd have any super hot takes on that or not.
no, I don't. No, I don't have any hot takes, Jackson. I still think that I still think the best teams are Duke, Arizona, and Michigan. Like conference pride has never been a huge thing for me. Like I just don't
Right.
really care if the SEC is good or not. I just only really care if Tennessee is.
That's fair. Well, cool. Well, let's keep rolling right along.
Sorry, I
We're
had to
gonna call
struggle
the.
for my thought.
You're
I'm
good.
really getting chills right now, Jackson. I am really sick. I'm powering through right now.
We're gonna wrap this up. We can keep these last couple segments short and get things wrapped up. But I just want to know, we can each give our favorite kind of funny, gimmicky things so far from the tournament. So I'll let you go first.
How about that meathead from Florida? Did you see him? They showed like this cameraman, and this guy's like biceps were like twice the size as my thighs. And I'm not exactly a skinny guy either. Like that guy looked like he worked out. Yeah, that was pretty hilarious seeing just someone that massive.
I saw somebody on Instagram shared a photo of him and said, "For every like we get, we'll make his biceps bigger."
Yeah, let's get him on the pod, and he can give us workout routines.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to wonder if there's any performance enhancing things going on in there, but
No, he looked all natty to me. That was just all hard work. That's how he got in. Maybe some creatine.
well, I'm going to give an honorable mention. We all know that sometimes the Duke mascot will put a piece of white tape on his forehead and write funny things. During the TCU game, he had written in black ink on the white tape tadpoles. So for those that don't know, obviously TCU's mascot is the Horned Frogs, and he had written tadpoles. In the moment, it really, really made me
Huh.
mad.
That devil. That little devil.
That little blue devil. But anyways, now looking back, I'm like, you know what? That's good stuff. But no, I think my favorite so far from this year's tournament has been the fact that High Point University paid for students to fly from High Point to Portland. They just had like 250 students to pack the arena right behind the High Point bench. I thought that was cool. Not only did they do it once, they did it twice. So they had multiple planes packed full of High Point students. and I'm pretty sure they used NIL money to do it, which I could be wrong there, but I'm pretty sure they did. So I think that's pretty cool.
I heard High Point has a lot of money. I heard that on a Knoxville radio
Yeah,
show.
it's a pretty wealthy school, small private school in North Carolina.
Okay, I didn't even know where they were located.
Yeah, it's kind of like near Greensboro, Winston-Salem, like that area. So that kind of northern chunk of the state there. But anyways, cool school. I've heard good things about it. So I had some people from my high school went there. All right, well, cool. Let's keep plugging along here and get you off so you can get to bed. I just
No,
want to
I'm
know
reading.
your. Sorry, go
Go
ahead.
on, go on. I was saying I'm
No,
reading
no,
about High Point, right? Known for its
yeah.
focus on holistic education and life skills. This is the AI overview. Like that's great and everything, but like I feel like holistic education and life skills just describes every college. I feel like you learn life skills wherever you are.
I'd have to agree. Well, let's just get into our Sweet 16 predictions really quick. How are we feeling? Do things get at all interesting? Are we going to see Iowa advance? Maybe Texas win a game, another game? Well, what's gonna happen? Are things just gonna is the cream gonna rise, or are we gonna stay where we're at, or what's gonna happen?
Glad you asked me, Jackson, because I have to point out that if you're going to ask anyone about bracket advice, it has to be me because I'm in first place in the bracket challenge and I am two buzzer beaters away. I'm in the 98.4 percentile right now. Not to brag, I guess I just know more ball than I thought I did. But if
Evidently.
uh if Kentucky missed their buzzer beater and Tanner hit that buzzer beater for Vandy, those are two buzzer beaters. I'm probably in the ninth percentile and probably in the running to win the whole thing. But no, so yeah, so I'm the perfect person to ask for bracket because I obviously am on a roll. But I think we're gonna get for the Elite Eight, UConn Duke, which will be a great game. Dan Hurley will probably lose his mind a couple times. Speaking of personalities, like apparently there was like Mick Cronin and Dan Hurley, like at the same time, like they were a hot mic, like just crashing out. Those two coaches are content machines.
Especially Cronin. Yeah.
Duke, Yukon, and then Houston, Purdue. No, wait. No. I got it wrong. Sorry, I'm on cold medicine. Purdue and Arizona, the Elite Eight. Iowa State and Michigan, and then Purdue and Nebraska will be the Elite Eights.
Okay. That's okay. That's I mean, we'll see.
I'm I think the Sweet 16 games are going to be awesome, and then I'm very excited for the Elite Eights. That's the benefit of Cinderella's being dead due to NIL and transfer portal, is that you would have a 13 seed or 12 seed make it into the Sweet 16, and then they would play a 1 seed and like lose by 30, and it would just be like kind of a boring game, or like 11 seed makes it to the Sweet 16 and they play a 2 seed, which I guess is what's
Right.
happening with Purdue and Texas. But we established Texas isn't a true Cinderella. I still think Purdue, like, I think that might be the most one sided game of the week is Purdue and Texas.
Yeah,
But
I mean, we'll see. I think I think Duke will beat St. John's. I think Michigan State beats UConn. I think Nebraska will beat Iowa. I'm taking Houston over Illinois. I've got Iowa State over Tennessee, Michigan over Alabama, and obviously Purdue and Arizona over Arkansas. So I think my only, like, if you can even call it an upset, would be Michigan beating UConn, which I don't, or Michigan State, excuse me, beating UConn, which I don't think that is even really an upset.
I'm so excited about that game. That's just the thing with like when you get blue bloods and like Sweet 16 is mostly chalk. I know we want to see upsets in the first and second round, but chalk means we get some really fun games. And we get some really fun games.
And that could be just a coaching masterclass too.
And oh, I love Tom Izzo.
Yeah,
And then what was I going to say? And I was going to say, and even though we don't have Cinderellas, we still have great stories. Like Iowa and Nebraska are both really cool stories.
I
And
would
then of
love to see
course,
Nebraska in a Final Four. Can you imagine that fan base in a Final Four?
yeah, and then of course Rick Barnes. Everyone wanted to say, "Oh, Rick and March, four straight Sweet 16 speak for themselves." Will Rick
I
Barnes get
agree.
his first take Tennessee to their first Final Four? That's another interesting storyline.
Yeah, we'll have to see, man. It's going to be good. I'm excited to watch. Thursday can't come soon enough, but yeah. Well, we would be remiss if we didn't also touch on the women's tournament. The TCU Lady Frogs are in the Sweet 16. Toy, just real quick, predictions for the women's tournament. Do you have a favorite to win it all?
I'm gonna go out on a limb and have to go with AZ Fudd and the Yukon Huskies, just
I'm
because
gonna
I know they
say
haven't.
I'm gonna say, man, after watching, well, I didn't watch, but after seeing what LSU was able to do to Texas Tech this weekend, could be LSU's year as a 2 seed. It really could.
LSU is always good. Kim Mulkey is a great coach.
Hmm.
Love seeing her outfits on the sidelines. Tennessee is not. The Lady Vols are not in the Sweet 16. Not one of their better years. We don't have to talk about that. Well, let's try to end the show positive. And then I think South Carolina. Oh, did you see Iowa got upset as a 2 seed? Which that
I
doesn't really
did,
happen much.
yeah,
A 10 seed beating a 2 seed in women's basketball, I feel like is rare. I feel like the
right.
women's tournament's very chalky.
It is, yeah. I mean, there's just not as much parity, I think, in the women's game. Um, I mean, yeah. So,
Who do our Lady Frogs have next?
oh, I'm pulling that up right now.
You don't know who your team is playing?
No, it's been a day, man.
Fraud alert.
We beat Washington. We play 10 seed UVA next. So we've got a pretty good draw
Dang.
there.
That's a
Yeah.
great draw. Yeah,
It is a good draw.
hopefully our Lady Frogs can get it done.
Well, it's been great too because the game last night against Washington went into overtime. Olivia Miles put the team on her back, which is great, and it's just a super fun team. Back to back years in the Sweet 16. This year as a 3 seed. Last year was obviously a ton of fun. I'm excited though, just because again, it's like it's cool to see the success for the men and the women's team. But what was really cool is we hosted the first 2 rounds in Fort Worth. So that was really cool too to get to see the games being played in Schulmeyer Arena. And yeah, so it's awesome.
Yeah, shout out to the Lady Frog. Who's the 1 seed in your all's region?
Oh, good question. Let me pull up
I
the
have not
bracket.
looked at the women. I'm bad. I have not really
I
studied the
have
women's bracket. I just
yeah, let
know
me
that I will watch the Sweet 16 because I love women's basketball. Women's basketball is a great product, but however, the first 2 rounds are very chalky. So I normally do not start watching the NCAA tournament until the Sweet 16. And that is, like I said, I think the Sweet 16 games are awesome. Love my Lady Balls. Honestly, like I love Dawn Staley and her teams. I think she's a great leader. But yeah, I'm excited to watch some women's basketball when the games start to get more competitive.
yeah, I agree. South Carolina is the number 1 seed in our
Oh well,
division.
well,
Yeah, tough.
things can happen.
Yeah, I mean, they're currently beating Southern Cal 51-21.
They
So
beat Tennessee
it's
like by 40.
yeah, it's halftime right now. So the winner of that game will go on to play Oklahoma. And worth noting, yeah, that you said Iowa got upset. It was UVA who upset Iowa. So great draw there for the Frogs. TCU is already, Vegas has them as a 10.5 point favorite. So we will have to wait and see what happens on March 28th. All right, Toy, well, to wrap us up, just a couple of things to note, and then I will let you close us out here. We have to talk about MLB because opening day is Wednesday. Obviously, opening day is always exciting, but baseball season's a very, very long season, so it's hard to really, unless you're just a super, super, super sicko fan like I am, hard to really pull anything from opening day other than you're just excited to see the boys back out there playing ball. So I'm excited to see my pinstripes back out there. We play the Giants in San Francisco opening day. I believe the game is at 7 or 8 p.m. on Netflix. Um, so it's going to be very interesting to see. I know we had our MLB preview pod a few weeks ago
I
with
don't have my
Kyle.
Netflix account.
I can share mine
I
with you
can't.
for
All
Wednesday
right.
if you'd like.
I kind of want to watch that game for
Yeah.
personal interest. Got
Yeah.
to see how Tony V does.
Tony V's debut. But yeah, I mean, we had our MLB preview pod. Obviously, we don't need to get into the weeds on predictions and things like that, but just a couple things to note. Obviously, people will be watching what the Dodgers are doing. People are going to be watching to see what the Mets are doing after the offseason that they had. Pittsburgh kind of had a sneaky offseason. Will be interesting to see what they're looking like. Obviously, the Yankees essentially running back the exact same team. The Braves will be worth watching. Always worth watching what's going on with the Mariners in Seattle, San Francisco, and of course, I think eyes will be on the Padres as well. So very excited for the MLB season to start. I do have a bone to pick, though, that I think it's kind of ridiculous that the game's going to be on Netflix. I think it should 100% be on a network, especially its opening day. It's going to be a night game, prime time. I think it's kind of BS that it's being aired on Netflix. Thankfully, I
I'm
have a
gonna
Netflix account.
have to disagree with you
Why?
and push back.
It's not
I
like,
think
but it's not like it's going up against March Madness. There's nothing else
no,
on
but
TV
you
that night.
Jackson, you finally feel like you're actually spending money for your subscription because I love that the NCAA tournament games are on HBO Max because like we got HBO Max when our kid was just born, so we had something to watch. But we don't ever really watch HBO Max that often, so sometimes you feel like you're throwing money down the drain. And then when sporting events are on your streaming platforms, you're like, oh, okay, like it's actually right when you're about to cancel your membership somewhere. Like when you said it's on Netflix, I felt bad for canceling my Netflix account when I finished watching Better Call Saul. But when there's sporting events on, you're like, oh, okay, like this is worth the $30 I spend a month or however much you spend on streaming platforms.
Well, yes, that's all well and good, but my issue is, all right, so I pay for Netflix, right? I'm already paying for Netflix. Great. I'm going to get to watch the Yankees on Wednesday night, which is also my third wedding anniversary. Shout out my amazing wife. So, fingers crossed after our anniversary dinner,
Yeah,
she
you
will
shouldn't
let
be
me.
watching. Yeah, you shouldn't be watching in the first place.
I mean,
I'm just
well,
kidding.
fingers crossed she's going to let me watch cuz she's also a Yankees fan. So, fingers crossed there. Number 2, I'm about to have to shell out another $200 on top of what I already pay for ESPN Plus because I'm not going to not subscribe to ESPN Plus because there's a lot of TCU sporting events that are on ESPN Plus. But to get MLB TV this year, for me to watch all the out of market games because I am out of market to watch the Yankees and just to keep up with baseball. So I'm going to have to shell out another chunk of change there in a couple days to, so just all told, by the end of MLB season, I'll have spent over $200. You know, I mean, there's not going to be any other MLB games. I know you have a point. Let me finish. It's tough. It
Yeah.
is tough. It's tough. I know, I understand there are way more MLB teams than there are NFL teams. They play way more games. I understand we can't be gunking up network television week in and week out, but it is a pain in the butt to have to spend that amount of money to watch my team play on a weekly basis. It sucks. That's all I've got to say.
Can't you just mooch? Don't you have friends that you could maybe mooch off a couple accounts, like maybe share?
I think they kind of crack down on that because it's regionally, right? So like
That's sad.
my MLB TV app uses like it pinpoints where I am geographically. So when the Yankees are playing the Orioles, or which they play the Orioles, many times in the season, being that we're in the same division, or when we don't really ever play the Nats, sometimes we'll have a random series against the Nats. I get blacked out from those games in the MLB app because they're local games. Now, granted, I can typically watch them. Well, hopefully this year I'm going to get to go to some of those games because I'm so close to both of those stadiums. But secondly, because usually, like if it's a local game like that, it's going to be on one of the local networks and you can just watch it. But anyways, my whole point, it's just a pain in the butt, man. Like it's a money grab. I'm already paying, however much I'm paying a month to have ESPN Plus. It's just another subscription that I've got to subscribe to. And they know I'm going to do it because I'm not going to not watch baseball for the next 5 months. They know
Hey,
they've got so many of us sickos on the hook year in and year out to pay this amount of money, and I'm not going to not do it. So I guess I'm the sucker is what I'm trying to say.
I get that. I'm sorry. I just like having the streaming show games because it justifies all the money I spend
I agree.
for
Like every time I
shows
stream
that.
every time I stream something on ESPN Plus, whether it's a random baseball game or a TCU women's soccer game or something like that, I'm like, yeah, this is worth however the $12.99 or $15.99 that I'm spending per month. Like this is completely worth it. But and again, I guess like if I were to break it down by the amount of games played that air on MLB TV, then it's probably a fraction of what I'm paying to watch the handful of TCU sporting events that I watch on ESPN Plus. So maybe I need to, before I get all up in arms about having to shell out whatever the price is this year, 175 or 200 or whatever it is. I don't know. It's just more the concept of me having to whip out my credit card and pay $200 at the start of the season. But I don't know. In a month, I will have forgotten about it, and hopefully the Yankees are leading their division, and things are gravy. And Aaron Judge already has a dozen homers on the season. So
I I hope that for you too. I want you to be happy, buddy.
thank you. Only other thing to note outside the world of basketball is right now the Masters website has Tiger Woods listed in the field, which is exciting. And we've got to give a shout out to Matt Fitzpatrick for winning yesterday at the Valspar Championship in Florida. That's the only real stuff I've got to touch on golf wise. We can have a deeper golf dive next week.
Yeah, the Masters is coming up soon, so
It is.
we'll be talking we'll be talking plenty of golf.
But I think it's a good episode tonight, Toy. A lot of good basketball talk. Hopefully, all the listeners are gearing up for the Sweet 16. But that's about all I've got, man. If you have anything else to add, please do. But if not, go ahead and take us home from here.
All right, I'm taking us home from there. I'm doing a test to see if our wives actually listen to this pod. Jared, you can come over. You probably won't because there's a 10-10 tip, but you are invited to come watch the game at my house. And if you come at 10 o'clock and my wife is like, "What are you doing here?" I'll be like, "Well, we mentioned in the pod, like it was planned, like it was on." My in-laws will be in town. It's my niece's birthday on Saturday, so that's exciting.
I hope you're feeling better by then, Jonathan, from your sickness here for sure.
Oh, I hope so because I don't want to get them. I don't want to get anyone sick. Yeah, I feel like I was really losing my fast. Speaking of baseball, I feel like I was really losing my fastball toward the end. Like I was having trouble forming. I mean,
we were losing a little velo there towards the end. We'd been throwing 97 all night, and we dropped
yeah,
down to 95.
felt like Chase Burns in Game 3 of the 2022 Super Regionals against Notre Dame. That is a reference that only Tennessee fans will get, and I guess Notre Dame. But yeah, I always struggle forming coherent thoughts, even when like I'm in perfect health. So being sick has been a really big obstacle. But no, yeah, Jared, when you edit, like, yeah, you're welcome to come to the house, and that will be a test to see if my wife actually listens to this pod. Spoiler alert, she doesn't. But my father-in-law listens to every episode, so he might give her a warning, which would be pretty funny. But and I'll see him on Friday. We'll watch the Alabama-Michigan game together. I'm excited about that. I'm guessing, will be in bed.
Oh, that's right. He's a big Alabama fan.
He's a casual like he likes Alabama basketball, but he doesn't like it the same as football, which is understandable. But no, I think making the Sweet 16 is awesome. Like this week, if your team is still in it, is very fun. I've been watching reels. Like it was so cool watching the Tennessee basketball team celebrate. Some of the role players have gotten a lot of criticism online from Tennessee fans, both on Twitter and on like the message boards. And I know they're making NIL, but no one wants to like get on, like they see those stuff. So seeing Bishop Boswell hit 4 threes and play 9 assists, Jalen Carey, that's what makes March great is like when you get role players who step up and they silence the critics. Tennessee players silence the critics. So as a fan, it was fun. I've been very critical of this team, not on message boards or publicly or on this podcast, but to my friends. They shut up the haters, and it was just kind of fun to see them celebrate and see how happy Rick Barnes was. And I'm sure Duke was doing the same thing, watching reels. I know Iowa has a lot of good content because it's on my Facebook feed now. So that's the fun part about this week is if you're in the Sweet 16, you just get to be excited every day and get look forward to your next round matchup. And like being a fan right now is so much fun and excited for the Vols. Hope they make a run. I'm glad we're playing Iowa State because I've always kind of liked Iowa State for whatever reason. I think they have cool colors. So them ending our season, I will probably be upset a little bit. Like it'll take me the weekend to recover, but at least it's not, a team I don't like. That's all I have to say.
Cool, man. Well, thanks for bringing us home. Go take some NyQuil. Thank you to all the subscribers and listeners out there, whether you're watching on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. We appreciate all the love and support. And we look forward to talking to everybody next week, where we will have our Sweet 16 and Elite 8 recaps.
Sounds good. Thank you, Jackson. You all have a great night. We love you and appreciate you all.
We'll see everybody next week. Thank you. Thanks, Toy. Feel better, man.